District leaders tackle a new layer of cyberbullying that many say infiltrates our schools, causing issues among students. WIFR reporter Alyssa Kelly talks with leaders of Byron High School, the latest to be hit with a new AI Snapchat filter popular with teens.
We didn't know anything about it. We just heard about it.
Byron High School administrators began hearing commotion a week ago about a new AI Snapchat filter making its rounds among students.
Unfortunately, early this week, we had a situation pop up, which we had to handle, and then we learned more about it.
The Snapchat filter allows you to put text into a generator just like this one. I put a ghost behind me. You'll take a photo, and after some time, the AI will generate what looks like a ghost behind me.
We want them to understand that what they put on social media can impact others.
School leaders say several students using the social media application opted for a filter that features make them kiss and make them fight options, sending waves through the hallways of whether the photos were real or fake.
It was fortunately an isolated incident right now from what we're working with.
They say the particular filter raises concerns about consent, digital manipulation, and online reputation.
The first thought that comes to me is that this is just another layer of cyberbullying that has kind of been developed through technology, and it's another way of that taunting or bullying or isolating someone.
Through a social media post, the school did notify teachers, students, and guardians about the problem, not only raising awareness, but assuring everyone the school takes these issues seriously.
It's going to be important for us to now educate our students the importance of not using that filter, being appropriate with that filter.
In Byron, Alyssa Kelly, WIFR News.
Byron High School adds they are addressing any of these situations as soon as they are made aware and encourages students to report anything they see that might be inappropriate.